Hello there, and welcome to the latest episode of the RMC Brown webcast. My name is Ross Brown, and I'll be your host as we discuss how to make a target list of buildings just crying out for redevelopment. If you like what you hear today, then please click the like button, and if you'd like to hear more, then please click the subscribe. Anyone working within the built environment, and many who don't, will be aware of the problems of reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete, or RAAC. Let's take a moment just to clarify exactly what's meant by that. Reinforcement refers to the steel rebars running through the concrete itself, and autoclaving refers to the process of curing under a high pressure steam. This will create the aeration part, so the concrete itself will contain a high number of air pockets in a similar way to polystyrene. And then obviously we have the concrete element itself, a composite of aggregates bound by cement and water. On the face of it, RAAC has its advantages. It's quick to produce, it's easily formed into a multitude of shapes, it's relatively light owing to its high air content, and as a result, it's therefore good for insulation. That it should have been the material of choice for rebuilding after the Second World War is not difficult to understand. Unfortunately, it also has a serious downside in that it has a lifespan of around 30 years, far less than more conventionally built structures. This was brought very much into the public consciousness around 2 years ago when several schools began to experience structural issues in the roof, which led to the eventual closure of hundreds of school buildings across the country and investigations into other buildings built around the same period. From our perspective, there is another significant issue. Buildings made of aerated concrete are invariably as ugly as sin. Whilst the old maxim that the most environmentally sustainable building is the one that's already there, the fact remains that sooner or later these buildings will need to be replaced. So why not plan the most beautiful replacement possible? At present, there is no national register for these at risk structures, but there will be shared and common features, at least worthy of further investigation within your locale. Now, a disclaimer here: not all buildings that meet the following criteria should be considered structurally unsound, and intrusive surveys are required to confirm the presence of RAAC, and the Institute of Structural Engineers advises that building owners conduct their own surveys to identify any structural risk. So let's look at some of the common features. First of all, most were built or refurbished between 1950s and 1995, especially during the 60s to the 80s, that 30-year period end to end there. They will often have flat roofs with large panel spans and use plank-like roof or floor panels that appear porous or bubbly in texture. They were constructed using prefabricated or modular methods, and they are light grey or white in colour and lighter than traditional concrete. Again, worth reiterating my disclaimer from a moment ago: not every building with some or all of these features will necessarily be at risk. But I would argue that anyone likely to be listening to this webcast will already have a mental list in mind of at least 3 examples in your local town, perhaps many more. So, what should be done about it? Well, landlords will, or at least should be, acutely aware of the presence of RAAC in their buildings and the risks posed by failing to undertake a structural survey if the presence is suspected. Also, bear in mind that RAAC was often used in conjunction with the fitting of asbestos, therefore increasing the physical risk to the public, of course, not to mention an owner's civil liability and potentially an invalidation of any insurance. It therefore comes to pass that if the building requires demolition, they'll be eager to ensure that its replacement is expedited. And this is really where you come in. Be prepared. Consider the age of your town, neighbouring buildings, local materials, and get drawing. Draft concepts that are easy to sell to the public and to pass through local planning committees easily. Engage with local historic and preservation groups who will help to inform your approach and then cheerlead on your behalf. Even ignoring their other flaws, we know that steel and glass buildings carry enormous environmental costs and have unacceptably short lifespans. But in the absence of viable alternatives, it's perhaps no surprise that so many are built. Having a proposal in your pocket for buildings that are beautiful, functional, and last for generations really make traditional solutions that much harder to ignore. The RAAC situation provides an excellent opportunity to seize the initiative back, and I think we should be shamelessly eager to exploit it. Bit of a shorter one today, but thank you for your time. If you like what you've heard today, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back in August. Join me then for the next webcast. Goodbye.